Okay, everybody, hello and welcome to the Fuck Dark Forces program. I am so excited to have everyone here. This is a program unlike anything I've ever done before. If you have taken my Unfuck Yourself Academy or any of my intuition levels, you know I do teach dark force clearings inside of there. However, because it's an intuition course, I have never had the time or the bandwidth within that course to dive deep into the dark force slash absent of light world in the ways that I want to and desire to and really geek out on. And obviously I didn't have time because the course was for intuition. So we would spend just like 15 minutes in the beginning on like a dark force clearing, because if you are using intuition, you do need to know how to clear dark forces. And we'll get into why on that later. But I couldn't go deep into it because we had to learn intuition. So we never really got a chance to fully learn dark forces. So I said, fuck it, let's make a whole entire just fucking course about it and call it a day. So if you don't know, I'm Allie. You obviously know that because you're here in this course, but I'm an intuitive, energetic healer and a medium. And that means that I can read both souls here on earth and souls who have crossed over, but I can also read energy fields, higher self, source, souls, and the whole shebang. And what happens is we are all very naturally gifted and intuitive, and anyone can decide to take that natural gift, hone in on it, get a coach, get a teacher, get a mentor, learn how to actually use their intuition and know exactly what they're reading and know how to exactly pull the source science accurate information, like down to a scientific level. And that's what I spent the last 9 years of my life doing. And in that 9 years, I have come across many findings of the universe. And I found the more that I know, the more I don't know. So it's crazy how, we think we know so much and then we go learn more and then we're like, fuck, I knew nothing. And that has kind of been my journey with everything that I've learned. But for sure, dark forces, which is why I said, fuck it, let's make a whole course on this. So another note is this program is being recorded digitally. It is not live. However, we do have COO Sarah here with me in the Zoom room, and she will be asking any questions that I'm sure everyone has. So Sarah's learning this for the first time too, as well. So at the end, I will have a time for her Q&A, and she is going to ask any questions that people would have and that she's heard people have in the past and that she has. And I'm sure if she has the questions, you have them too. But she will probably hit a lot of your questions because it is her first time going through the course as well. So what we're going to be doing in here is making the dark force world make sense. And why you should care about this stuff is because this stuff affects our lives in our everyday life. So this can affect, if you have dark forces on you, if you have absent of light beings on you, they can be affecting your relationships, your overall daily quality of life. They can be affecting the way that you are perceiving yourself. They can be massively amplifying your weaknesses. So let's say you're already a little bit ADHD. Well, one of these mother effers is on you. Now it's like times 20. So they can affect our ability to be in our soul potential and our soul purpose. They can affect our manifestation abilities. They can affect our ability to make more money or excel at a career or be on our soul pole. They can make us extremely tired. They can make us depressed. The list goes on and on of how these things are being affected, or you are being affected by them in your daily life. So that is why you should care. I know some people are kind of like, oh no, like if I just act like they don't exist, then they're not there. They don't exist for me in my reality. And that is so far from the truth. And that is one of the lies of the spiritual world. And unfortunately, whoever has told you that is probably heavily manipulated or intentionally, either unintentionally or intentionally heavy manipulated by dark forces. And the whole goal of dark forces is to keep you from being in your power. So if you think, oh, this just doesn't have to exist for me if I don't think about it, it just doesn't work like that. And knowledge is power when it comes to dark forces. So, and this stuff sounds scary, but I promise it's not. Light always wins, and it is so much more powerful. And honestly, it's only scary when we don't know about it. I want you to think about if you were sitting in a big stadium and it's totally pitch black, and someone pokes a little tiny hole in the pitch black stadium. All throughout the stadium, you can see the light. So think about how big a fucking stadium is. Think about how dark it is. And if you poke one tiny little motherfucking hole in the stadium, you can see that light from everywhere. Light is so much more powerful than absent of light. And it's honestly only scary when we don't know about it. So ignorance is bliss doesn't really necessarily work with this kind of thing. And we'll get into why later in the whole lesson that we have today. But the more knowledge you have about it, the more power you have about it. And honestly, this stuff feeds off your fear anyway. So the more you're scared, the more it can get on you, the more your creator field and your energy gets more vulnerable, and the more there's holes in your creator field for this stuff to then get on you and then amplify that weakness of you being fearful. So do yourself a favor, and I want you to just picture these things as like literal flies you just flick off, because they are. Like when you learn how to actually clear these things, some of these things can take 6 months up to a year to actually get on you, and others can get on you quicker, but they're like so easy to clear off. Some of these things take so long to get on you, and all you have to do is like flick them off in what literally is like 2 seconds. So it becomes 2 seconds once you learn the process and have it memorized. So do not be scared. It's literally like a fly you flick off. And I want you to just picture how embarrassing these things are. The fact that they have to stick onto you to be able to live and function and get light from you is just so embarrassing in itself. They're embarrassing. You have the power. And there's different forms of dark forces. So there's like different realms of consciousness as dark forces. And then there are actual people who have decided to disconnect from source and become absent of light, which we'll get into what that is and how that happens. But either way, I want you to picture these people as just like a cheesy finger man in their mom's basement, and when they're like 50 years old watching cartoons, who have no life, who are like the online trolls. You know what I mean? I just want you to picture them as like just these losers in their mom's basement. They have no power over you. So I want us to take any kind of fear we have, put our hand on our brain, pull it out, throw it on the ground, squash it around a little bit. It doesn't need to be there. We don't need to be scared, especially since we're learning about them. When you should be scared of them is if you have no idea about them and the fact that they're affecting your life on a daily basis. They are affecting 94% of people in the world daily, whether you realize it or not, okay? And 97% of our daily life is impacted by these things. So that's what you should be scared of, is not knowing about them, okay? You coming in here and learning about them, you are taking all of your power fucking back, and you don't have to deal with them anymore. So I'm so happy you're here. I want us to make a promise, raise your hand, make a promise. I am not going to get scared of these things because I am learning how to clear them. I am learning how to take my power back. I am learning how to not have them fuck with me. So I will not be scared, because there's no reason to be scared, because once I know everything there is to know about them, they literally have nothing on me. And there will be a point, if you continue down the road of a dark force mastery, of mastery in anything is 10,000 hours of practice in something. So if you continue down and you get so passionate about dark forces like myself, and you continue down a dark force mastery, once you hit a 10,000 hour mastery in these things, you actually don't have to deal with them ever again on you, right? So you can learn even quicker ways to clear them off once you master the processes that we're going to go through in this course. That you earn that, right, when we hit a 10,000 hour mastery. So it's you have to learn the processes first to be able to clear them off, which we're gonna learn in here. One thing, before I dive into like what even dark forces are, what the fuck is going on, one thing I want to teach you right off the bat is how to stop energetically broadcasting your weaknesses to the dark force world, because they do amplify your weaknesses. So what happens is, if you are prone to getting anxiety on a plane, you get on a plane, you get anxiety. Well, now if you have one of these absent of light beings on you, they will amplify that anxiety times 20, times 30, times however much they fucking feel like. If you are someone who teaches and you get nervous right before you go to teach, and you start to freak out of like, what if I miss a word? What if I do this? What if I blah, 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 blah? And you have one of these things on you, they will amplify that fear to the point of, that's why some people like legit pass out on stage or whatever it is. So these things, we want to stop, first of all, broadcasting our weaknesses to them, because our creator field is solely in charge of, sorry, I have a little cough still going on. I'm going through a detox. Our creator field is solely in charge of what we create in life, the people we find ourselves around, the situations, circumstances, places, and events we find ourselves in and around and experiencing. And all our creator field is, the scientific term for that is our electromagnetic field. And all that is one big concoction of what we believe to be true, the emotions we feel on a daily basis, our thoughts on a daily basis, and our actions on a daily basis. And that gets programmed into our creator field. And that gets broadcasted out. So if we are anxious, if we are ADHD, if we are angry, if we are this, that, or the other thing, and we're broadcasting that out, well, dark forces can feel that from light years away. They can attach to you and they can amplify it. So we do not want to broadcast this shit out to dark forces because we're human, we're going to feel emotions. What we don't want to do is just be like a one big broadcast to dark forces all the time to be able to amplify this for us. So we are going to take you through your first energy work that you are going to get to do on yourself. Congratulations, you're in here for 10 minutes and you're already doing fucking energy work. That's huge. You're going to learn to do this on yourself on a daily basis. So now, what we are going to dive into today is just kind of a backstory on like what the fuck dark forces even are, like what are they, where do they come from, what's going on. We have a little tiny extra like cell reboosting thing I want to give to you at the end, but we're not going to get into any actual dark force clearings itself today because we need to actually just know what the fuck's going on with them first before we go into each individual one and what they mean and the whole thing. So how this works is the universe is built on extreme opposites. So just as you have light, there is the polar opposite of dark. Just as you have hot, there's the balancing energy of cold. There's truth, there's lies, there's this, there's that, right? This universe is built on polar opposites. So, and everything is neither negative or positive. It's actually always both. That is called the universal law of balance. Nothing in this universe, in realm 3, I should say, is fully positive or fully negative. It has both. It has equal amount of positive, equal amount of negative. Now I say realm 3 because that is the realm that we humans are living and existing in. We are in realm 3. Source is in realm 7. And we'll get into all the realms and all the things in here a little bit and throughout this course. So nothing's neither positive nor negative, but dark forces is a little bit different. How is that possible, Allie? Great question. I'm glad you asked. Dark forces are not a third realm thing. They were not created and meant to be in the third realm. The only reason why and how dark forces can get into our realm is because of the frequency and vibration of the collective of the humans of the world, of the 8 billion people or whoever of the world. If collectively we all vibrated over a 500 frequency, they would not be able to open up portals to get into our world. And a quick little lesson on like soul frequency, you can be in realm 3 between 1 and 1,000. Okay, 1,000 is the highest frequency that you can exist at in realm 3. Now, people, humans who are born, usually about 84% of them right now, or it feels like maybe 82 right now, are functioning between a 180 frequency and like a 360 frequency. Then we have souls who are considered like healer souls who are functioning between a 400 and 600 frequency. Then there are ascended master souls who are functioning between a 700 and 1,000 frequency. Now, no soul is better or worse. That is, don't even like get started on thinking that anyone's better or worse because of the frequency of their soul, or anyone's more valuable or not because of the frequency of their soul. That is not how it works at all. It's just that the souls who have a higher frequency have just learned a fuck ton more lessons. It's like if you think of just because they've lived longer, that's it. In most cases they live longer. In a few cases, there are some really like old souls who have gone through a fuck ton of lessons in just like 10 lives and they've gotten to ascended master soul, but that's pretty rare, but that does also happen. It's kind of like in school, there's a first grader and there's a 12th grader. There's no difference in value as a human between the first grader and 12th grader. You can learn a lot from the first grader. You can learn a lot from the 12th grader. You can equally learn different things from each one. The 12th grader has just been in school longer. That's all the difference is in frequency. The soul has just gone through and learned more lessons, okay? Learned, keyword. If we bypass the lessons, we don't really raise like soul frequency. You've got to learn the lesson or else we keep coming back and repeating them. That's a different thing for another day. Anyway, Why it's important to know the frequency that we vibrate at is because if the collective of this world vibrated at a 500 frequency, literally portals would not be able to be opened from other realms with dark forces to be able to even get in here. But there's consciousness from different realms that are here, but they don't have to play by the rules of the third realm because they aren't from here. So just like how you have high frequency beings, there are low frequency beings. Everything of the third realm, it has to be in that consciousness, remember, of 1 to 1,000, and everything outside of that comes from other realms. So human vision is very, very, very limited when it comes to what we can see. So our vision basically only sees what they know in science is a very narrow band of the full spectrum of light. Like we don't see infrared, we don't see ultraviolet, and there's all these different types of light that we don't see, in science literally says this. What science gives you is there is so much out there that you cannot see. So keep that in mind with where we're going with this. And know that everything and all the information in here has also been insanely intuitively vetted, and it is the most accurate source science truth. It has been vetted intuitively so many times to get the most accurate information for you in here with everything we are about to go into. So one of the principles of this third realm that we are in is built on the principle of balance. So light and darkness can both exist in this realm. It's a scientific fact. Just as there is absence of light is essentially disconnecting from source. We all survive by being connected to source. If our light goes out, our physical body also goes out. Our bodies, they aren't actually physical though, but we have subatomic particles that they aren't touching, they are moving around, and they give illusions of a solid. So technically, scientifically speaking, nothing in this universe is solid, it's all energetic. Everything in all the realms has to have some sort of light, because light is nourishment, light is power. So you can be a consciousness in human form who wants really, really, really bad to be famous, or to have power, or to have extreme amounts of wealth and be in the government, or have some kind of fame, power, or money, or control. And this is bred from feeling a big, huge lack of attention when you were younger, feeling like you're not important, feeling like you're not valuable. And this feeling can get so big that into even teenagers, into early adulthood, we start to really, 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 really want so bad to become famous or to have these things so we can kind of be like, haha, like, look at me now, I feel valuable. And Source essentially has this system that if you are not a light being with higher conscious ideas to teach and give to others, then Source will not ever in any circumstance give that person a podium to connect to and influence other people on the planet. So that means acting, music, public speaking, government, like all of these things. Most people in these things do not have the light of Source to get there, because once again, Source is not going to give someone through Source's light a podium to speak on if they are not somehow raising the frequency and vibration of the planet and who they're influencing. The system is supposed to constantly be raising a frequency. The system meaning this realm, Earth, all the realms essentially. The system is supposed to constantly be raising in frequency, and Source would not place somebody who is going to pull down the frequency and vibration of the planet, of other people on the planet. They wouldn't place someone on this pedestal. So what happens is there's a lot of human beings in this planet that were essentially told no by Source, right? They were in a very fear-based place. They grew up being rejected, not feeling special. On a subconscious level, what they're doing is they're going, okay, I need to prove this wrong. If people don't love me, I'm I'm worthless and not special. Like I need to prove this wrong that I feel this way. I need to prove this truth that I made up wrong. And so what happens is a lot of people out there have these dreams of doing things that aren't in their soul pull, aren't in their soul purpose necessarily, but these dreams are more birthed out of a rejection. They're birthed out of a need of feeling special when they were younger. That's a whole different module we get in of like how Hollywood and the media was birthed and born and how all things work in there. But this is kind of like a sneak peek into that. These people can get so far latched into this idea of like, I need this career, that when things don't work out through source for these careers, they can find a different way. They can find another way to get there. There's a lot of people who disconnect from source and they kind of go, oh, well, if you're not going to give this to me, if I'm not getting this through you, I'm finding a different way, right? And it's not that they're necessarily like conscious of like, oh, if I'm not getting this through God, I'm going to get this through absent of light beings. It's more of like, life isn't working out for me. If I'm not getting this way, there has to be some other way that I can get this. And then there's other specific groups of people out there who have already done the same thing. They've already disconnected from source in exchange for money, power, fame, the whole shebang. And they have harnessed some of the spiritual scientific laws of the universe. And real quick on that, I know we talk a lot about over here, the spiritual scientific laws of the universe. Anything that can be used for good can also be used for negative as well. So all of these beautiful manifestation tools, all these beautiful energetic, scientific, spiritual laws of the universe that we are using out here for good, they can also be used with absent of light and for maybe the not best intentions. So again, everything in this universe has to exist in positive and negative. Just as much good as you can use these things for, like we do over here, you can also be an absent of light being using these things for maybe not the best intentions. Definitely not the best intentions, actually. So there's people out there that say, oh, I noticed that you just disconnected from source. I did that 10 years ago and look at my life now. I've got this wealth, I've got these cars, I've got this power, I've got this fame. And they kind of sell turning away from source into being a good thing. Now, there's different kinds of people that end up on the absent of light side. There are people who are just so far in the negative emotions from their lives that they will do anything to make those feel better other than the actual healing work. Like they don't want to do the actual healing work, so they will do anything else to make those feel better. So instead of what we do, in Unfuck Yourself Academy or like over in this neck of the woods, instead of actually diving into the subconscious, reprogramming, doing the healing energetically, actually coming back to who your soul is, actually finding that new sense of self-worth, self-image for yourself, and purging and releasing and disconnecting from the past and past experiences that have been holding us back, instead of doing it the of light way, they don't want to do that. They want to get things quick. They want to get things now. And they don't even have any kind of intention to go and try and get this at this point, the light way, because that takes too long. And then once you end up healing your self-image wounds, you probably never want to go into Hollywood or that thing anyway. So they don't really care to go that route. And we'll get into why in later modules when we get into like the people of the world who are absent of light. But anyway, there are people who are so far in the negative emotions from their lives that they will do anything to make themselves feel better. That's how they will walk away from light. And if you cut yourself off from source, then your light will go out. Now, remember, this is not being atheist, or this is not just not believing. This is purposely, intentionally, if you did this. And no one in this program has done this because you wouldn't be here. So don't sit at home and be like, oh my God, like one time I didn't believe in the universe or source, and I wonder if I'm still connected to light. It's not, disconnecting from source is not believing, or it's not being atheist, or it's not questioning. It is purposely doing a very, very absent of light act to purposely sell your soul, disconnect from light, and then fill your body with a different consciousness. So trust me, you're not absent of light if you're here. And if you are and you're here, we're gonna have some other problems. So do not sit there and worry and wonder like, oh my God, am I still connected to source? I promise you, you are. unless you, have intentionally gone and done some like very absent of light things, which you would know if you have. And again, not even accidentally, like God forbid you have ever in your life, got in a car accident, accidentally really hurt someone and they had to go to the hospital, or accidentally like something happened to someone else and it was such an accident. Like that is not disconnecting from source. Disconnecting from source is a very intentional, very, very absent of light thing you do in order for your own selfish gain. So trust me, you don't have to worry about that. I can hear the thoughts now because I get it. Like I probably would have had the same thoughts of like, oh my God, well, one time I had a thought where I questioned the universe. Like, am I still connected to light? Don't worry, you are. So where was I? So when these people walk away from light and if you cut off from source, then your light goes out, which means you'll cease to exist. And that's one, a problem in itself. And two, there's this connection to light that has to be maintained even though you've disconnected from light. So we have these people on the way opposite side of the spectrum of high frequency and love, and they are in very, very big fear spaces. And when they disconnect, the thing with absent of light is if we cut off from light, you still have to acquire light somehow. And if they don't acquire light, they will go out and literally flatline, like meaning their heart will no longer beat. They will literally cross over, like they wouldn't be here anymore. So in order to have power over things, you need light, because light is the most powerful. But all light that comes from source has conditions, right? If source is giving you light and you use it for a negative thing, that light will decrease and not work. Source has the power to take that away. And it's not that source sees anything as good or bad, it's just that source has universal laws and rules for this realm that we are in. And if people are trying to use source light for bad, negative intentions, like hurting other people for their own selfish gain or anything like that, source would never let that happen, puts a stop to it immediately. So then they have to cut off from source because they cannot get these things through source, because source is like, no, you're not going to use my light to hurt other people to get where you want to go. And so now, if you cut off from source, then you have to gather your own light, basically like a forager, like from other things and other people. So you connect it. So then what happens is then you connect that light to yourself and you can use it for whatever you want, but it's not coming from source. You're now taking other people's and other things light from them. So real quick, I can feel everyone, because at this point, I mean, I understand where you're at. It's like, okay, what the fuck? Like, Allie, I am with you. I can believe you on a soul level, but my human mind is kind of going, how the fuck is this happening? Like, what is going on? And what I have to say to that is, just because you don't see this stuff does not mean it doesn't exist. And just because you wouldn't do these acts to other people for your own selfishness of gain and wealth and fame and whatever, doesn't mean that other people are in a deep fear place and are not doing that. So if you're here, you, I'm sure, know this, that you believe in angels and guides and ascended masters and all of these incredible light beings. The issue is there's this misinformation in the spiritual world, and why there's misinformation is, one of the reasons is because of dark force teachers. So there's teachers who are teaching spirituality who have actually disconnected from source themselves, and they're keeping people in limitation. Now, why would they want to do that? Well, the less powerful and qualified people are, and they kind of think like, oh, well, if I'm powerful and I'm qualified and I'm the only one, then it will be easy to be more powerful. And so they want people to not be in their power so that they can be more in their power. Again, a very lack mindset, a very fear mindset, a very non-abundant mindset, a very absent of light mindset, right? When on the opposite of that, the light mindset, the source mindset is, the more that I have, the more I can give, and the more I give, the more other people can have, and the more other people have, the more other people can give, and you just kind of create this abundant thing going on. Well, these people are so in fear, they just so want to be special, they don't see their own special uniqueness, they're totally disconnected from it, they're totally disconnected from their value, they don't go the route of healing it through the light way, and they don't go the route of manifesting it through the light way. They don't bother to try that stuff. They want the easy, quick fix, meaning they disconnect from light and they get it through other ways. So we think like there's light and there's angels, and sometimes we are told like, oh, if you don't think about dark forces, then they don't exist. And that is all bullshit lies from a teacher who has either one, been infiltrated by dark forces unintentionally, doesn't know it because they're not clearing themselves, or two, has actually disconnected from source and is working with dark forces intentionally, and they are telling you this. With intuition, you can learn what's what and that whole shebang as well, which you can find in the intuition courses. But what happens is when these people disconnect from light, they then are going with their free will. And that's not locked into a soul path or like a soul pull. And to think that, another thing is to think that human beings are the only things out there in this universe and all the realms is so not true. There are 7 realms and we are in the 3rd realm. Realm 7 is where source broadcasts from. And it's beneficial for the dark forces that people bind their powers and feel powerless. So they want you to think we're the only species. They want you to think there's something else out there because it's so beneficial for the dark forces for you to not notice them, for them to just go about their merry little ways, for them to just go about their life and do all their dark things, and you just don't notice. And they're literally taking your light, and you're wondering why you're exhausted every day, and you wondering why you're not functioning at your potential every day. So ignorance is not bliss with this stuff. We want to know about it, then we have all the power. And when we know about it, they know we know about it, and then they're like, oh, can't fuck with them anymore, right? So we become so much more powerful. So there are all these other consciousnesses that are in other realms that function very differently than we do. And all the way up to the 7th realm, you have free will. So it doesn't matter how far or how high your consciousness gets throughout the system. You could make it to the 6th realm where you're essentially like a smaller version of source there. And at any moment, you could choose to want differently than what your role is in that realm out of fear. And you could disobey source, essentially. Disobey sounds like a scary word. Source isn't like, oh, you disobeyed me, but they could essentially go against source and literally come to the third realm where we are, and essentially be a God figure to the absent of light beings here. So be like a more powerful figure to the absent of light beings that are in our realm. Now, I'm gonna back this up a little bit by science, just so we can bring it down to the physical. But science, as it grows, and the more things are invented, we will end up with more machines that can detect consciousness. And we already have some. You know how like people go ghost hunting and you can like detect like the warmth or like the temperature of something, and like it beeps and it lights up. So just like there are ascended masters and angels who are like beings that in the world of light is good and what is deemed as evil, but evil's not really evil. Evil is not necessarily like what you've heard of. Evil is just like absent of light. And what it is, it's a free will selfishness, and a fear-based state is what it really is what the absent of light is. It's basically the energy of I desire this, I can't get it through source, even though they can, they just have to learn the right tools like we do over here. They don't want to go through that healing process. They don't want to go through that learning process. They don't like care to spend the years and years. They want it now and quick, and they don't care who they have to hurt to get there because they're so deep in fear. And they're so deep in fear that they don't even believe they have the potential or power to change to get it. So that's kind of what happens. But it's basically, I desire this, I can't get it through source, so I'll find another way. I don't care who I have to hurt or what I have to do to get there, I'm just doing it. Now, all of these beings are dark force, absent of light things, and they have practices where they harness the energetic spiritual laws of the universe, and they use them in ways that source does not condone. And as you develop your intuition, you will find that there is a whole dark force world out there that is all around us, that is totally hijacking our lives. So 94% of the people on this planet, they are actively right now being influenced in negative ways by these absent of light beings. A lot of people don't get their careers because dark force influences on them. And how much can dark forces influence our life? They'll tell you in the spiritual world, again, well, if I am a light being and I don't think about dark forces and I only believe in good things, then dark forces won't affect me. Well, any dark force that ends up on you, it can have 97% influence over your life. And they have the ability to hijack your thoughts, emotions, and they will rob you of your free will. And if you find that hard to believe, I want you to think about it in this like science way. If you are in a cold room and the room gets colder and colder and colder, you're going to start to look around the room for things to get warm. The temperature is getting low enough will start to influence your actions and desires, and it will influence your choices. Okay, so you're going to start to jump around. You're going to start to like do breath work. You're going to start to find ways to get warm. You're being influenced by a product of your environment. Same thing, if I put you in a room and I crank up the heat, the same thing. You are going to start to like slow down your breath. You're going to start to try and cool yourself off. You might take your clothes off to try and like not be so hot. Your actions are going to start to be very much influenced by what is going on around you, the environment you're in. Same thing in science. When forces are acting on our body and on our lives, we react to that. And this is where people's free will is hijacked by other things because of the idea of it's my life and nothing can have influence. Well, that is correct in realm 3, like nothing can have influence over your life. Yes, in realm 3. But when it comes to absence of light energies, dark forces are not exclusive to the realm 3, which means they are not bound by the rules and principles of this realm. So people all the time are putting dark force influence on other people. So how that happens is because of our creator fields, which are amazing. This is how we create our life, like we talked about. All positive energy work and manifesting, just as they can be used for good, they can also be used in absent of light ways. So all the things that we learn how to do from the source way and source perspective, all of these things can be used in the absent of light ways for negative reasons. Source doesn't give source's light to actions that are absent of light because source cuts off the flow. So when that happens, what happens is when there is a desire to live a different life, then the agreement between higher self and source, and you are in deep fear and don't care about other people getting hurt, and you don't care about how to learn how to do it the actual right way, and you're now crossing over to the absent of light space. And if you acquire energy from places, you can acquire enough energy and insert it and influence other people. We have these creator fields that can organize matter essentially in desirable ways, and meaning that's like how we manifest. So it's like if you learn manifesting here from me, we know about ingredients, we know about emotional thought broadcasts, we know about the law of action, we know about the law of opposing forces, we know about all of these laws that massively matter when it comes to manifesting, and we can use them of source and in a way to structure our creator fields in the way of light. Now, if we cut off from source, we still have creator fields, and all we have to do is find light from other places and other people, and we can do it without the light from source. We can just use other people's light. So what happens is, it is scientifically factual that we don't know everything there is to know, and we don't see 100th of what is actually out there. But it doesn't mean it does not exist. So you can be the most high frequency, conscious, powerful being. And if you're not clearing yourself of these dark forces, they are still affecting you 97%, your quality of life every single day. It may be the reason your relationships aren't going well, or why you feel stuck in your career, or it can really amplify weaknesses in certain ways. It can massively affect your health. These things are just your quality of life, just your tiredness, your energy every single day. So all of these things are essential to know and to get off of you, because we don't want to fucking live like this if we don't have to. And there's many different kinds of dark forces, but there's human dark forces who disconnect from light and they're absent of light and they have to get light from other ways. And then there are other consciousnesses of dark forces. And we're getting into all of it throughout this course. But all of the absent of light beings have one thing in mind. They couldn't get what they wanted through source. They disconnected from source, and now they are getting their light from other places. Now what happens is with higher soul frequency beings, probably like yourself if you felt called to hear, and again, no soul's better or worse, it's just the number and frequency based on the lessons you've learned and how many lives you've lived and the whole shebang. But your light is very bright because of the higher frequency thing that your soul, that you are here living and doing. And now on top of that, usually higher frequency beings go through trauma, they heal it, then they want to help other people. So now they want to help the world feel better. When you want to help other people feel better, you are one big fucking target for these beings because you have so much light. And they're like, oh, food. I need light to survive. I can't connect to source. This person has a fuck ton of light. I'm going to take light from them. They take light from you. They're getting your light. You're now not functioning properly. Now all your gifts are dimmed. Now you don't have your full potential. Now you don't have your full creation powers. Now you're feeling tired. Now your weaknesses are being amplified and all of these things. So taking your light, they're also stopping you from giving light to the world, from raising the frequency and vibration of the world. The more people we have clearing these mother effers off, the less they're here. So glad you're all here. It's like a spiritual war out there that we're doing. So that is a little kind of intro I wanted to get into of how to think about dark forces, why they're here, why they're not scary, what's going on. And again, we have 8 to 10 weeks of this as of now. I'll probably continue to add on to this forever and ever and ever. So as me filming this, we have about 8 to 10 weeks of this. We are diving into every single dark force, every single clearing. We're diving into demons, reptilians, transmortals, groups, rituals, sacrifices, aliens, ghosts, the whole fucking shebang, how to clear them, what they all mean, what they're trying to do, what their goal is. We're diving into people, the Hollywood, the media dark force thing, and government and that whole situation. How to clear that off you, how to clear actual people putting bad intentions onto you. The whole fucking shebang. We have a whole designated module to each one of these, what's going on, how to clear them, what their intention is. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of an intro into this world, what we're doing. We have another intro video. None of this is like intro. This is some like, we're going really deep. But before we start the other clearings of the actual dark forces, I have one more module for you to watch before that to get even some more knowledge. But I'll stop you there because our brains can literally only process 20 minutes of something at one time. We're already at 52 minutes in this. So what I want you to do is I want you to rewatch this at least 2 to 3 times a minimum. Take notes, get this in your brain. Listen to this over and over again until you can basically recite this back. That's when you know you fully absorbed the information. And remember how neuroscience works is the thing you got the most emotional about, excited or scared or whatever, is the thing you're going to remember, the information you're going to remember the most. So keep that in mind too. So keep re-listening, keep watching. So we are going to also get in the next module because I've already given you so much. Like let's let this marinate. But in the next module, we're going to get in why you can't just send these things to light. Okay? Why you can't just send dark forces like everyone's like, oh, I'll just send it to light. It doesn't work like that. You've got to actually take the energetic tools and take them down and take them off. And I'll explain why in the next module because that's very important too. So if you're wondering, why do I have to go through all these processes? Why can't I just send dark forces to light? So many reasons. I'll explain why in the next module. We've already learned a lot in here today. So that is the completion of that energy work. Anytime we have dark forces on us, before we go to clear them, we do this first. This is the first step into clearing any other dark forces. This is the first step. We've got to do the energy recovery is what this is called from dark forces. The energy recovery from dark forces is the first step to clearing anything else, because if you try to clear these other things, but you don't have your full energy and power back, you're going to be weak in clearing them. And we are not trying to be weak in clearing them. We're trying to be strong and precise because we want them off of us. Okay, so I'm going to let Sarah ask her questions, and I am going to read them because I'm sure everyone has a lot of the same similar questions. And we will do a little Q&A right here, right now. Okay, I felt pretty nauseous about 50 minutes into this training and a little dizzy, clammy. Is that normal? Good, very normal. If you start to feel any type of way during these trainings, it is you learning this information, getting conscious about this. You are now feeling them on you more than you ever have. It doesn't mean you're getting them on you more. It means they've always been there. And now, because the more you learn, the more you're going to become aware, the more you're feeling them on you. So it's not like, oh my God, I took this course and now they're on me all of a sudden. No, they always were. But the more knowledge you gain, the more you start to get more sensitive to them, the more you feel them. It's kind of like how if you're a girl and when you first like go through your period and stuff, like when you're younger, you don't really know when it's coming. You're not used to it. Like you don't really know what it feels like. But the more you get it and the more information and knowledge, you know, oh, this is what ovulation feels like. This is what cramps feel like. I feel really energized in ovulation. I feel really tired in my luteal phase. The more you learn about the menstrual cycle, the more you feel it in your actual body, the more you become aware. Same thing. If you start to feel like a certain way, you're just feeling these things on you. It's not that they're just coming here now. They already were there. You're just learning more about them. So now you feel them or you're more conscious about them, which is good because we want to feel them so that we can feel them and learn to clear them off. If you're feeling a type of way now before even learning how to clear the actual dark forces, doing the thing where you take out your emotional weaknesses and doing that last energy work, we just did the energy recovery from them, that will really help in itself. Why are the explosions always blue? Would love to understand that color's importance. That's such a good question. So it's blue because it's a really powerful, it's a really powerful blue flame. And so energetically, the blue flame is really good for light beings and really toxic to dark forces. We're going to be like using blue flame knives in here. We're going to be using a whole lot of blue flame energy tricks to get these guys off of us. Look up on YouTube a supernova blue explosion. It's like the most powerful explosion, for lack of better knowledge, that I think exists. I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that, but it's a really powerful explosion. How do I check what frequency I'm at between 1 to 1,000 to track my growth? Good, really good question. So that is with intuition. So we have a soul frequency, but then we have our human frequency that we're vibrating at every day. So usually, if we're not like connected in alignment with our higher self 24/7, if that's not the case, usually our human frequency is lower than our soul frequency because we have our human beliefs, our limiting mindsets, the trauma we've been through that we haven't worked through yet maybe, and just these certain limitations going on. The more we grow, heal, learn, undo these things, and the closer we get to our soul, the higher our human self raises in frequency. Our soul can also raise in frequency in this life if we are learning our soul lessons and overcoming them. So let's say you have a reoccurring soul lesson in each life that has to do with people taking you seriously. And let's say in like 5 lifetimes before they didn't, and in this lifetime they didn't. If you overcome that lesson finally in this life, your soul will also raise in frequency. And you can test that with the intuition tools we have in the intuition courses. I'll teach you yes and no intuition tools in here too, by the way, because you'll need yes and no intuition tools to clear your dark forces. Who are 1 to 2 examples of people who have been given a podium but did not get there through light? I'm so glad you asked. So one example, excuse me, is you know what? Let's not go there yet because I want us to actually have a little more knowledge of what goes on in like the Hollywood podium standpoint before we get there, because I don't want to burst anyone's bubble of maybe their idols yet. Not quite yet. But good question, and we will absolutely dive into a whole thing on that. What's an ascended master? Is Jesus an example? Yes, Jesus is an ascended master soul. Buddha, who else? Jesus and Buddha are the only ones I can think of right now. I'm sure there's more. But Jesus essentially is a massive ascended master healer, and his whole thing was that people can heal themselves, and his story like really got misconstrued in certain religions and that kind of thing. Fun fact, both Jesus's soul and Buddha's soul are back on earth in the human body in our lifetime, which is cool. So certain religions say, oh my God, Jesus is coming back in our lifetime. Yes, that's true, but not in the way that they think. Like not in the way of like what the Bible says, how Jesus is just gonna come down and like take everyone to heaven. Jesus' soul is actually already back. It's just in a human body. Same with Buddha. Buddha's like in the Midwest somewhere. I think he's like 11 or 12 years old right now, which is like funny. You said we're in realm 3. Are dark forces in all of the realms except realm 7? Dark forces can exist in all of the realms except realm 7. Yes, correct. Yeah, there's a whole realm 2 of them that we're going to talk about real soon. When people make a deal with source to disconnect in exchange for fame, money, how do they make that deal? Is it a conversation they have with source, or is it just actions and intent? Really good question. I'll give like a little synopsis. Is that the right word? A little overview of how that works. And then we dive really into that in one of the modules. But essentially, it is kind of like someone else comes to them and is kind of like, hey, like I can make you a star. I can give you money, power, fame, the whole fucking shebang. If you just, you know, come and do this thing, like if you just come and kill this chicken, or but you have to sacrifice someone you love. Like they'll do it in different ways. Sometimes it's very obvious. Like I literally know someone personally who was approached and was like, hey, I can make you really famous, really powerful, really wealthy. You have to sacrifice a person you love. And the girl's mom was like, hey, you can sacrifice me. Like I'll do it. And it's a wild, wild story. So it goes to the extent of like sacrificing a person, to the extent of like, they can be sneaky and tricky too. Like you can be 14 and really wanting to be a famous Disney Channel star. And they can be like, I can make you the next Hannah Montana. Not saying Hannah Montana did this, but you know, you can be the next Hannah Montana if you know, just come to this meeting and like watch me kill a chicken and sacrifice it for you. And anyway, that's like a whole big concept to wrap our brain around. We're going to dive much deeper into that. We have a full like 2 modules on this, but that's kind of essentially the overview of what happens, but I won't leave you hanging there. Like we'll really dive into that. For the 2 energy recoveries, can I do that on my loved ones so they reap the benefits? While visualizing it for myself, can I include my partner, mom, etc.? Good question. So with clearing other people, number one, we never want to go clear our favorite celebrities, our favorite famous people. We do not get involved in that. That is a whole other battle to be in, and you do not want to be in that battle. I promise you, we do not just go, oh, I love this celebrity. I wonder if they're involved. Let me clear them. No, stay away. We don't do it. We don't do it. We don't do it. With family members, if they're not like in these podium places, we want to ask their higher self, because I am so glad no one cleared me when I was younger, so I could see this stuff, witness it. Like I've been able to see it through my physical eye so that I could learn more about it and have this interest in this fucking psycho calling to master it. So I'm so glad no one cleared me so I could figure it out for myself. So we want to ask their higher self if it is in their highest good for us to clear them. Is there a way to tell how long a specific dark force has been on me? Like how many months, how many years? Yes, with intuition. We're gonna get into yes and no questions with intuition. You can literally test, this dark force has been on me longer than 5 years. Yes. Okay, this dark force has been on me longer than 10 years. Yes. Longer than 12. No. Okay, so it's been on me 11 years. Yes. And you can use your yes and no's with intuition to know exactly how long and exactly when it got on you. And we're going to get into that for sure. Amazing. That's all her questions. Okay, you guys, incredible job today. Again, this is like this is 0.0001 of the information we are getting into in here. And sorry, it's getting so dark. It was bright outside when we started, and now it's pouring down rain and there's like a full thunderstorm. The sky's black. So I didn't have like a light set up back here to like prepare because it was sunny, which is usually my light. So we're a little bit in the dark today, which is fitting, I guess, for our class. So we're just scratching the surface. This is just an introduction, and I cannot wait to see you in the next module. Bye, everybody.